Okay, so in this lesson, we're going to go over some pretty cool rules that we can use to make our differentiating lives much easier. And those are going to be the product and quotient rule. So the product and quotient rules, and then later on, we're going to look at how we can find the derivatives of the trig functions and how we can find higher order derivatives. In other words, derivatives of derivatives, or derivatives of derivatives of derivatives, or derivatives of derivatives of. Okay, I'll stop. So let's first go over what the product rule says. And let me not just give you it straight up so you can understand this whole thing. It's actually pretty simple. So it's called the product rule because you're trying to find the derivative of a product. So let's say you got two functions, f of x and g of x. And if they're a product, that means you have f of x times g of x. You see? So we got a product here. And you're like, well, what do I want to figure out the derivative of this? So I want to find the derivative with respect to x of f of x times g of x. So the product rule will say that this is equal to the derivative of f of x times g of x plus f of x times the derivative of g of x. So what you essentially do is you first take the derivative of f of x, then you multiply it by just whatever g of x is, then you add it to just f of x, and then you multiply it by the derivative of g of x. So first, f gets its chance to get differentiated, then g, doesn't want to be left out, so then we got to make sure we differentiate g. So we differentiate each function once, and we add together their product like this. Now, it may be like a little different notation, which is probably easier to write, when you're doing this stuff. So you don't get confused. Let's say we got f times g. So shorthand for f of x, g of x. We got a product of f of x times g of x. So if we want to find the derivative of this, or we want to find, remember the prime symbol, f times g prime, then what you got to do is this will just be f prime times g plus f times g prime. So that's all this is. So let's go through some examples. This is always the best way to get good at math and calculus and all that stuff. So let's look at these products we've got going on here. So we got our first equation being y is equal to 3x squared times the sine of x. So we have one function here. Let's call this our f. And we got the other one, the sine of x. Let's call that the g. So if we want to find the derivative of f times g, what we will get is that y prime is equal to, let's take the derivative of f, the derivative of f, so f prime, the derivative of f, or the derivative of 3x squared, will be 6x times, and you keep that sine of x the way it is. Don't do anything to it. You keep g of x just like how it is. So we got f prime times g of x plus, now we keep the f function the same way. We don't do anything. We just put them down here again, just originally. We put the 3x squared. Now, it's g's turn to get differentiated. So we multiply this by the derivative of g, or the derivative of the sine of x, which is the cosine of x. And that's their answer. You really can't simplify this or combine this, so we're going to box it to show that this is our final answer for this. All right, now let's look at another one. For b, we got f of t is equal to the square root of t times 1 minus t. So what you got going on here is, let's call this our f. We got our f here. And the g is the 1 minus t. So we got a product again. So if we want to find the derivative of this product, f prime of t, we start off. We take the derivative of f. Now let's remember that t, or the square root of t, is the same as t to the 1/2. So if we take the derivative of t to the 1/2, or the derivative of f, that will be 1/2 t to the negative 1/2 times your g. Keep the g the same. So 1 minus t. We're not doing anything here. We got the g. We got the f prime here. Now we go ahead and we add this to. We keep the f the same. So times or plus the square root of t. Now it's g's turn to get differentiated. So we take the derivative of g. So the derivative of 1 minus t is going to be 0 minus 1, because the derivative of 1 is 0. So it's really just negative 1. So g prime is negative 1. And this is essentially our answer. I mean, we could write this a little more fancier, a little different. That's because we like to use positive exponents in our answer. So this is going to be essentially 1 minus t over 2 t to the 1/2 minus the square root of t. All right, so let's keep on going. Let's look at C. Here we got h of x is equal to 3x minus 2x squared times 5 plus 4x. So we got our f as this. We got a g as this. And feel free, if you want to try these on your own, pause the video and try them, and then unpause it and see if you're getting the same answer as me. So it's always good to try these on your own if you're catching on. But I'm just going to continue, of course. So our derivative of this product, h prime of x, will be, again, let's differentiate that f first. So we got 3 minus 4x times your g. Keep the g the same. So keep it as 5 plus 4x plus, now we keep f the same. We already need plus 3x minus 2x squared. And now it's g's time to get differentiated. So we have g prime as the derivative of 5 plus 4x, or just 4. G prime is just 4. And there you go. All we got to do is we probably want to simplify this. That's maybe what your teacher, professor is going to want, but that's just the algebra part. You got to, distribute and add like terms. And if you do that, you would eventually get negative 24x squared plus 4x plus 15. But again, this part's not the important part. This is the algebra part. This is the key. Your teacher, professor will usually give you most of, if not all, the credit for this part. Now let's look at D. We have y is equal to 2x times the cosine of x minus 2 sine of x. So we got a combo equation where we just have the product rule in this first part. The first part here is the 2x times the cosine of x. This is its own thing. So we'll just then subtract the derivative of 2 sine of x once we find the derivative of this product. So let's go through that. So we would get that y prime is, we get our f prime as the derivative of 2x, which is 2. That's our f. This is our g. Whoa, let me keep this the same. So the derivative of f prime times g, keep it the same, cosine of x, plus f now, keep f the same, so keep that as 2x, times your g prime, so times g prime. So the derivative of the cosine of x is the negative sine of x. Okay. Then we subtract the derivative of 2 sine of x, which is just 2 cosine of x. So we got 2 cosine of x plus 2x times the negative sine of x minus 2 cosine of x. And you can see here, right here, these cancel with each other. we have the positive value here and the opposite over here, so this simplifies to just the negative 2x times the sine of x as your final answer. All right, let's keep this going. Let's go through one more where it's more of a like a solving by using the property that we just went over of the product rule. So here we're given that f prime of 4 is what we want to find. We want to find f prime of 4 specifically, and we're told that f of x is the square root of x times g of x, and then we're told that g of 4 equals 2, and that g prime of 4 equals 3. So I know at first it's probably, yeah, it just me saying it sounds a little like, what the heck is going on? But it's actually not that bad. So let's first, recognize, okay, well, what's our ultimate goal? What is our ultimate goal? Our ultimate goal is to find f prime of 4. We got to find this. So what is f prime of 4 essentially? Well, we just need to find f prime of x essentially to begin with. That's like the bait. We just find f prime of x. Once you have the equation for f prime of x, then you just plug in 4 for x, and it's just a simple algebra type problem. So let's find f prime of x. Now we have f prime of x equals this right here. So you have your product rule. You have one function here, and you got your other one here, right? And now this may sound confusing because remember, this is your f, this is your g, but this can't be your f because this is your f. So let's just call this something else. Instead of f, we'll just call it, this is your h. This is your g. Just so we don't improperly use the notation. But again, if we want to find f prime of x, using the product rule, we take the derivative of h, or the derivative of the square root of x, which is 1/2 times x, the negative 1/2, times g of x. We keep g of x as is. Then we add this to, this time we hold h of x as is. So add this to the square root of x times the derivative of g of x. Now you're like, well, I don't know the equation for g of x. Well, how can I figure out the derivative? Well, just write g prime of x. Don't worry about it till then. You just write g prime of x. This is as far as we can go in that part. But now you're like, okay, well, what do? I need are we done? Like, no, you're not done. Of course not. What we got to find is f prime of 4. So f prime of 4 is ultimately what we got going on. So just using logic, let's replace the x's with a 4 because we're evaluating it for x equals 4. So what we got is 1/2 times 4 to the negative 1/2 times g of 4. And let me put that g of 4 in green. Plus the square root of 4 times g prime of 4. I think you're seeing what's going on now. You can see that what we got here is we actually are told what g of 4 is. G of 4 is 2. And we're told g prime of 4 is 3. So then all we got now are just numbers, and we can actually find the value. So 1/2 times 4 to the negative 1/2. Remember, this is the same as 1 over 4 to the 1/2, or 1 over the square root of 4. So let me just write that out explicitly so we can see it. So something being raised to the 1/2 power is, the square root. So this is the same as 1/2 times 1 over the square root of 4 times g of 4, which is 2. So times 2 there, plus the square root of 4, which is 2, coincidentally, times g prime of 4, which is 3. We're given that right here. And then we can see it, and then now it's like, oh, this is simple. It ain't an issue at all. Evaluating this 1/2, these 2's cancel. We got 1 over the square root of 4, which is just 1/2. And we got 2 plus 3, so we got 1/2 plus 6. So our answer is just 6.5 or 6.5. All right, so there you go. There's your product rule. So practice, and I hope that helps. Good luck.